Good morning. A very quick hello from me. It is Friday morning, about 10:15, and I've been on the road for probably a couple of hours on my way to Cheltenham. Should arrive hopefully by about 1, but I'm going cross country, so it's quite a long drive, and I've tried not to go on too many major roads, at least in the first hour or so. I wanted to try and go on some more minor roads that I didn't know, which is lovely in a way, but it does mean that it's quite slow. But it was very pretty countryside. It's kind of going across the north part of Suffolk. So I'm now on the A14. I'm not that far from Cambridge, and then I'll be going slightly further north towards Rugby, I think, and then down towards Gloucestershire and eventually Cheltenham. So I hope to arrive around about 1, maybe half 1. I'll probably stop again before I get to Cheltenham. So that is the plan. So I've just got a coffee from Starbucks, and I might have a bit of my croissant as well, which they very kindly warmed for me. So I will check in with you a bit later, and my first event is at 2:30, so that should be fine. I should be able to check in to my AirbNB first and then drive to my first event, which is Not So Cozy Crime. So I'll see you a bit later. Good evening. It's about 6:15, and I'm just getting ready to go to my first event at the Cheltenham Literature Festival, and it is Mark Kermode, who is a film critic here in the UK, who is doing an event at Cheltenham Town Hall, and it's all about film music, which I'm really excited about because somebody coughing very loudly next door. Because I assume there'll be a mixture of film music that I know and quite a lot that I don't know. So really looking forward to hearing what he's chosen and how he describes the pieces of music and what he feels about them. So I have got a hanky just in case E.T. or West Side Story are played, because I'm sure that there will be a few tears shed if he does choose those. Although I suspect he probably won't choose musicals, because that's a bit obvious. He'll probably choose some John Williams, who's obviously very famous. Maybe he'll choose, is it Ennio Morricone, who did the westerns with Clint Eastwood? Not my favourite films, but the music's good. So we shall see. And then tomorrow I've got a packed day, which I'll tell you about tomorrow morning. The drive was, oh my goodness me, it was so long. In fact, it was so long I actually missed the first event I should have been going to, which was called Not So Cozy Crime, which I'm very sorry about. However, I have got a packed itinerary tomorrow, and my lovely hosts popped this book round, which is the Cheltenham Literature Festival Guide, which of course I've seen online, but there might be something in here that I haven't booked that I might be able to book. Michael Palin, unfortunately, was sold out very quickly. He was actually on this morning. I wouldn't have got here anyway in time. I would have had to have left on Thursday and stayed Thursday night as well. And by the way, I will show you tomorrow morning my little bedsit Airbnb which I'm staying, which is really cute and very inexpensive. So if you ever find yourself in Cheltenham, I highly recommend it. It's a little bijou bedsit, so I'll tell you all about that tomorrow. So let me get ready to go, and I will probably talk to you later if I'm still awake enough. If not, I will see you tomorrow morning, which is Saturday. Good evening, or good night really, because it's about 10:15. So I'm back from seeing Mark Kermode at the Cheltenham Literature Festival. I enjoyed it, but I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't any actual music, because really he was just discussing his book that he's brought out with a collaborator about film music and different kinds of film music. So they didn't just talk about the really big one like Jaws and North by Northwest and Planet of the Apes. I don't actually remember the music from that, but Mark Kermode is a big fan. They mentioned 2001. What else did they mention? The Zone of Interest. I mean, it was quite a wide-ranging discussion, and it was really interesting because we don't really think all that much about film music, do we? But it did remind me of some of the soundtracks of film music that I used to have as a child, because he mentioned that he had the Sting, which I actually, I might have had the Sting, but I definitely had, oh my gosh, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I loved that album. I played it to death, and my friend Charmaine, who lived on the 3rd floor of our block, so we were very matey, and we used to listen to that all the time. So I did used to have some soundtrack music. I'd forgotten that, actually. And I'd forgotten that in The Sting, it's a lot of Joplin rags that are played throughout that film. Anyway, I enjoyed it. It was an interesting discussion, and it's a very beautiful town hall from what I could see. And I'll be back there tomorrow for Tim Spector, amongst other events, and that's at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to get ready for bed now. Still got my makeup on. Put it on very last minute because I actually didn't have time to put any on when I left this morning. So I'm going to take it off again now, and then I will get into bed and hopefully sleep a decent amount, but knowing me, I'll probably wake up at 5:30 or something. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow for another Cheltenham Literature Festival update. Good night. Good morning. It is Saturday at about 20 to 9 and I'm just getting ready to go out. My first event today at the Cheltenham Literature Festival is the Tim Spector interview about his new book called Ferment. So really looking forward to that. And actually one of my lovely subscribers mentioned that she is going along with her husband. So I hope I manage to connect with her. It'd be so lovely to be able to say hello. So that's at 10, but I'm going to go out about 9 because I'd quite like to either maybe not have breakfast, but maybe pick something up at Pret-a-Manger. So I'm going to do that. And the weather's looking a bit grey. Let's just have a look, shall we? Yeah, it's difficult to tell. I don't think it's particularly sunny, but it'll be fine. And it's not wet, that's the main thing. So wandering around should be no problem at all. I'm just going to show you my little makeup table. This is my little makeup table, just to show you what I've brought. This, by the way, is the most, let me see if I can show it to you, beautiful makeup bag that my friend got me for my birthday. It's absolutely stunning. And here you can see I've got a lot of Merit because it's just so easy to travel with, including the uniform and a couple of blushes. But I've also got the House Labs concealer, the Hourglass powder, and the Maybelline brown mascara, the Sky High in brown, which is really good. So that's my little stash. So I haven't bothered to curl my hair this morning. I think it's fine. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what Tim Spector's got to say, what Daniel Finkelstein interviewing the ex-Lord Chief Justice, Lord Sumption, has to say on democracy. And hopefully they'll be able to unpick what's going on at the moment. And this afternoon I've got a session which is a chat between two female writers who have books out. So India Knight, who's a columnist with the Sunday Times, I'm sure you're familiar with if you're in the UK. She's a beauty journalist but also writes about all sorts of stuff, and I've got a couple of her books, and she's just published or is just about to publish a new one, which is actually a collection of all her articles, or maybe a choice selection of articles from her Substack, which I subscribe to. And she's in conversation with B. Wilson, who is a cookery writer. And I've got one of her books and she writes beautifully. And I think she was an academic first, I'm not quite sure. But she does write really well, and gosh knows where the cookbook is. It'll be in store somewhere, but I did enjoy reading it. In fact, maybe what I'll do in a future newsletter is I'll print one of her recipes. So look out for that. Once I find the book, that is. And so that's this afternoon at 4. So I'm not sure. I might go to a comedy chat later on at 6:30. It depends how I hold up, because I woke up at silly o'clock this morning. I heard a noise. I think a light went on next door because I forgot to put the blind down. And so I saw a light outside and then I heard a noise and I just thought, and I tried to go back to sleep and failed. So I'm not going to tell you what time it was. It was ridiculous, the clock. It was more ridiculous than usual. But never mind, I'm fine. I'm feeling okay. And as soon as I get outside in the fresh air, all will be well. So I will check in with you a bit later, probably around about lunchtime, I would think. So I'll see you a bit later. Don't go away. Just about to go in to see my guru, Tim Spector. Just had a hot chocolate though, so that's probably not on his menu, but I'll be really interested to see what he's got to say and whether I feel like after I've watched him that I'm inclined to get his book Ferment and try and make my own kimchi. Not sure about that. Anyway, I'll let you know how it all goes a bit later. Good evening. It's about 8:30 on Saturday night, and I've had a very full day. I thought I would just tell you about not just who I saw and what I heard, but how I feel about the speakers that I went to see at the Cheltenham Literary Festival and how uplifting it all was, really. So the first one was yesterday. I mentioned that was the film music session with Mark Kermode, and although there wasn't any music actually played, it really did make me think about the creativity of these composers and the way that they go about their business. So sometimes they're given very little to go on by the director, sometimes they're given a lot, and some of it's sort of in between. And the fact that they're able to compose these amazing scores, I mean, not just the John Williamses and the Bernard Herrmans. Bernard Herrmann was the composer for quite a lot of the Hitchcock films. When you think about the music for Psycho, for example, or North by Northwest, or any of those fantastic thriller films, as well as the musicals and the incidental music in so many films that we love, Jaws, for example. You just think about the time they have spent, the creativity, the thought that goes into it, the studies that they do of the characters and the scenery, and to try and get under the skin of the film. It's mind-blowing, really, and of course so many of them do it so well. So I think it just made me, sorry, that's a terrible rambling way of saying that I just admire composers and what they do, particularly when it's not their original idea. Of course the music is, but the film is not their original idea, and they have to work with it to create something. I think one of the interviewees in the book, in Mark Kermode's book, said that what he wanted to do was represent what was in the director's mind in the music. So very interesting talk that Mark Kermode and the producer and his co-author Jenny gave yesterday. Really interesting. And then today we started off with Tim Spector, who I've just mentioned in a reply to a comment and saying that he's my weird crush, and he kind of is. Although I have to say he's not as tall as I thought he was. When he stood next to the interviewer, and I don't think he was that tall either, so he's not that tall. Not that should put me off in any way, and it certainly didn't. But it was a really interesting discussion about fermented foods. I actually asked a question, by the way.
Vinegar spoil the effect of the ferment, but actually vinegar is one of the fermented foods that you describe in the book, isn't it? Vinegar is a fermented food, absolutely. If the acidity level gets too high in the vinegar, it can kill off the microbes. So the best sort of vinegars for your health are fairly sort of low acidity ones. Apple cider vinegar that has a certain maximum is still potentially live. Some of these other ones are dead. So it does vary on that, but yeah, vinegar definitely has its benefits as well.
Because I'm sure that Tim Spector said a while ago that you shouldn't, if you are buying kimchi off the shelf, you shouldn't get it with alcohol in it. But he seems to have changed his mind about that, as he did a few things. He says new research is showing that what they call postbiotics, as opposed to probiotic, can have beneficial effects. So I don't need to stress too much about getting kimchi that's got vinegar in it. However, he did say also something that was interesting to me, because I've never really got on with kefir. I always find it a bit sickly, but he said if you mix a bit of kefir into your Greek yogurt, and I have Greek yogurt virtually every day, he said you will feel the benefits of it. It was a really interesting chat, and I am definitely going to get his book, because now no excuse. Make your own kimchi, Des. Come on, get on with it. So I may well do that. Well, I'll let you know. So that was a really interesting session. Then an hour later I went to a talk by the ex-Lord Chief Justice Jonathan Sumption. Now, since Jonathan Sumption stopped being the Lord Chief Justice, he's often been sort of a bit rent-a-quote on the BBC. However, this discussion about democracy was so interesting and so timely.
Instead, you are confronted by a large quantity of confirmative material, and that, I think, induces people to live in an intellectual bubble.
I really enjoyed it. He's a very thoughtful man, as I suppose he would be. He was the Lord Chief Justice. Very measured, but spoke from the heart. Very interesting about the role of democracy and its importance in the world, and how a lot of people don't view it as that important and don't consider it precious. So that was fascinating, and very well interviewed by Danny the Fink, as he's known on Twitter. Not that I go on Twitter anymore, but that's Daniel Finkelstein, the Times commentator. So that was very interesting. And then at the end of the day, I went to Indian Night and B. Wilson's talk.
Even asking the question because one of the lovely little stories in Indy's book is just take it to the tip. I like that.
Yes, I'm very emotionally attached to all sorts of objects.
Now they've both got books out, and I bought a B. Wilson book before. She was a historian, but then she became a cookery writer, and I bought her book. It's about a year ago, 18 months. I can't remember the title of it now, but she's got a new one out. Indian Night, as you know, I'm very fond of her, and I actually have a couple of her books. I think one's the Thrift book, and one is... what's the other one called? Well, I've got the beauty one as well, which I quite liked. I didn't love it as much, but I've also got the other one, which is, I can't remember now. Anyway, those are from a few years ago. The beauty one was, I think, about a year or 18 months ago. Anyway, her new book is called Home, and it's based on her Substack column, but it's got lots of other things in it, and I can't wait to get a copy. I've ordered one from my local bookshop because I'm trying to buy local, and I'll be picking it up next week, so really looking forward to reading that. The B. Wilson segment was quite emotional because B. Wilson's mother had dementia, and so she talked about some of the things that her mum used that she wanted to keep, like one of those, do you remember those whisks with the handles? She brought one along. Gosh, they are really of the period, aren't they? I'm sure all of us who are my age had one of those. And I don't have one now because I have a balloon whisk, as B. Wilson mentioned. Not B. Wilson. B. Wilson. B. Wilson actually was a cookery writer whose book I had when I left home when I was 18. But anyway, this is B. Wilson. So that was a really lovely talk. Indian Night spoke really eloquently about how to make a house a home and all the things that she considered important in a home, because she had quite a peripatetic childhood. She was born, I think, in Brussels, partly lived in Pakistan, and then came here when she was 9. So she was a bit all over the show until she settled here. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. It was fascinating. And I think what was good as well was being with my tribe. Is it my tribe? But all these people who are really interested in the things I'm interested in. So all in all, I'm very pleased I came. I really think my Airbnb, let me just show it to you a little bit. My Airbnb has been fantastic. Sorry, it's not terribly tidy now, but I cooked myself a meal tonight. I had a meal. I made myself some pasta with some sauce and a bit of grated cheese, but that was fine. I had a glass of wine, and I'm feeling pretty exhausted now, I must say, but I don't want to go to bed too early, although I am planning when I wake up to just get up and go so that I don't get embroiled in any traffic jams like I did on the way here, because it's a very long drive on pretty smallish roads really, so I'm going to make an early start. So that is my experience of the Cheltenham Literature Festival. I kept calling it the Literary Festival, but it's not, it's the Literature Festival. And I would consider coming back, I definitely would, and I'd come for longer because there's so many people I could have gone to see, some of which were sold out anyway. I don't think I could do more than 3 in a day though, which is what I did today. I did 1 yesterday. I should have done 2, but I was late for the first one. I couldn't make it. So I really enjoyed it. And the other thing to mention is I met a subscriber, because a subscriber said that she was going to be coming to the Tim Spector. And so I was kind of looking around, although not that I would have known what she looked like. And she approached me actually outside the venue as I was walking along to the shops. I was so delighted. It was so lovely of her to come up and say hello. She sort of tentatively said, "Are you Des?" So that was really lovely. And it really made the time, actually, it made the day. So thank you very much, very grateful for that. So there you have it. That is my experience of the Cheltenham Literature Festival. And I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me. I was going to film in the car, but I haven't managed to sort out the phone attachment. So I'll have to do it when I get back and maybe another day. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if any of you have actually been to a literature festival. It doesn't have to be this one. It could be any one or any festivals of late. Let me know in the comments and let's have a chat. And if you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Now, my uploading schedule at the moment is Sundays, where I do a kind of a regular video, and Wednesdays when I do a vlog. Anyway, thanks again so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me. It really does. And I hope you're all doing really well. And I look forward to seeing you on Sunday for my next video. Bye.